Hello and welcome to AdaPulse, the channel that brings you all the news and all the proposals that are in and around the Cardano ecosystem. Now, before we go on, please do remember to click the like button, hit subscribe and hit that bell so you get those notifications as soon as we've got content available. And leave a comment below. We really want to hear what you guys are thinking of our content and we really want to interact with you guys. Now, you can further support the channel by delegating your ADA to either Swag, Zod, or myself, ATM. Now, today, the article is entitled, Do You Know Cardano? A review of its history and the current situation. Now, this is an article by LiberLion from the AdaPulse team. Now, this is very broad and we're covering a lot of ground on this, and we'll give you lots of links to the references that we're talking about if you want to go a little bit deeper. But I'm Josh from ATM. Let's crack on with this. So today is just a brief summary of the Cardano blockchain and its ecosystem. We'll go through some of the data and metrics, but we'll also discuss the essence and vision which Cardano was built. Cardano is a blockchain with a shitload of technical information. What we're going to do is present it briefly and order it by theme, just so you can understand it a little better. But if you want to dive in a little deeper, I'm going to provide more detailed AdaPulse articles for you to read up on should you wish. Think of it as like a LiberLion special, if you will, because he's covered a lot of things in great detail in some previous articles, so you can refer to them if a particular subject or topic, it kind of, wets your whistle, if you know what I mean. The beginning. Cardano was founded by Charles Hoskinson and Jeremy Wood. Charles Hoskinson was also one of the co-founders of the Ethereum network, something he's constantly reminded of, even though he only worked there for like 6 months and worked on Cardano for like 7 years. But anyway, they founded IOHK, here they are, in 2015 with Charles as CEO and is the developer company of Cardano. It currently has 451 members and is one of the most important blockchain infrastructure research and engineering companies in the world. The ongoing professional research work, which really characterizes Cardano, is based on peer-to-peer review, totaling 141 research papers. I'll include a link to these in the description below. In addition, in the construction of Cardano, there are 2 other companies to be aware of, Emergo and the Cardano Foundation. Emergo develops, supports and incubates business opportunities and helps integrate companies into the blockchain system. It's essentially the for-profit arm of Cardano. The Cardano Foundation is an independent body that oversees the advancement of Cardano and its ecosystem. As the legal custodian of the protocol and owner of the Cardano brand, the foundation works to drive adoption and partnerships, grow the Cardano community globally, and advocate for favourable trade regulations and legislation. It has ambassadors, and you can find out more about them, their roles here, and the link will be in the description below. It's basically made up of members of the community who voluntarily use their time to spread the values of the ecosystem. Cardano got its name in honour of Girolamo Cardano, or just Girolamo to most people. He was an Italian Renaissance physician, mathematician, astrologer and student of chance who lived from September 24th, 1501 to September 21st, 1576. Augusta Ada King, Countess of Lovelace, known as Ada Lovelace to you and me, lived from 1815 to 1852 and was an English mathematician and writer who wrote the first algorithm used on a computer, making her the first computer programmer. To honour her vision, the creators of Cardano decided to name the cryptocurrency ADA, with the symbol being that A with the 2 lines through it, and its smallest subunit is called a Lovelace. So basically a Lovelace is 0.00001 of an ADA, or to make it more easier to understand, 1 million Lovelaces makes up 1 ADA. Now, if you check this image, you can see the Cardano blockchain started with its Genesis block on the 23rd of September 2017 at 9:44 PM and 51 seconds. just one day before Girolamo's birthday, which is slightly annoying. However, this is in UTC, so it would have been his birthday somewhere in the world. The essence. Cardano's mission is to build RealFi. Now, that is real finance on blockchain technology, aimed at people who need new ways to access finance, creating that real value that is often missing in DeFi. Now, I've mentioned this article by LiberLion in a previous video too, so do check it out if you want to dive in further into RealFi. And yes, it's in the description below. The consensus of the network is proof of stake, or POS, as it's written. Now, I've got to say, every time I see that written in my head, I read it like piece of shit, but it's far from it. And of course, we have an article on proof of work versus proof of stake, so you can read that at your leisure. It's based on these three design principles. So we have 1, scalability. It seeks to increase the number of transactions per second with low network cost. You can read more about that in the Speed in the Shelley Era article. 2, decentralization. The forging of blocks and the developments in the network are produced by a variety of actors. 3, interoperability. It promotes its interaction with other blockchains. There's more about that in the article Blockchain Interoperability, Lights and Shadows. So check that out too. 4, we have sustainability, has a treasury system to pay for future developments and growth. Scalability is related to the 2-tier design. The transactional layer, where the accounting book, where all the balances is located, what we call the ledger, basically, and is the layer where the transactions are settled. The Ouroboros consensus algorithm is executed, and the computational layer, which is where the execution of the contracts takes place. Plutus is a new language developed by IOHK based on Haskell and is used to program in Cardano. Haskell is an old functional programming language. The main advantage of having a functional programming paradigm is that each piece of the code can be mathematically verified, and this means it is much more difficult to make mistakes when programming smart contracts. This is in stark contrast to Ethereum, as you may be aware people are charged transactional fees despite the transaction actually failing. But Cardano's evolution is determined by 5 eras, where each one has a goal. So check out this graphic. Byron was the foundational one. Shelley, the era of decentralization. Gauguin, the era of smart contracts. And Basho, which is where we are now, it's the era of scalability. And then we have Voltaire, the era of governance. The eras develop over time, some of them in parallel. If you look at Voltaire, for example, that started with Fund 2 in 2020. The start of each era is typically triggered by a scheduled hard fork event powered by the hard fork combinator invented by IOHK. The next hard fork will be Vasil, scheduled for the 29th of June. LiberLion did an article on this, and I did an awesome video too, so do take your pick, whichever. The metric. The blockchain divides its time into blocks, epochs, and slots. Each epoch lasts 5 days and includes 432,000 slots, since each slot is open for every second to choose a node. So that's simple maths. We have 5 days, 24 hours times 60 minutes times 60 seconds is 432,000. So, on average, one node is expected to be nominated around every 20 seconds, for a total of 21,600 nominations per epoch. If randomly chosen slot leaders produce blocks, each of them will be added to the chain. The other candidate blocks will be discarded. For SPOs, this is either ghosted blocks or stolen blocks, but that's another story. So anyway, roughly 21,600 blocks are created in each epoch, but due to the randomness implemented into the protocol, more or fewer blocks can be created. The consensus algorithm using Cardano is called Ouroboros, and it is a version of Cardano's own proof of stake. A leader of the interval, or slot, is randomly selected to have the opportunity to create a new block. The more that is staked in a pool, the more likely they'll be chosen to create a block. I'm not going to go into this now. More blocks doesn't mean more money. It just means more consistency. A large pool can still underperform out of no fault of their own. But like I said, that's another story. The protocol provides security, mathematically verifiable against attack, since to hack the consensus and steal coins, it is necessary that 51% of the participation is in the hands of one or more dishonest participants who are, colluding. This is why the selection of leaders to forge blocks is random. Today, for a Sybil attack, which is very typical in this kind of protocol, a minimum of 12 billion ADA staked would be needed, and that's out of 24 billion ADA. You can work that out in dollars yourself, as it's constantly changed. There's no way I'm going to do it. So check out this graph. In 2022, the delegation has grown and currently has held over 70% of the circulating supply. It's considered significant since not all the circulating supply is in the hands of the community, as part of it is in the Treasury, for example. So basically, 100% of the circulating supply in delegation will never be possible. The most important measure of decentralization is that of network consensus, and it refers to the distribution of delegation. Single pool operators hold 19% of the same stake in group distribution. The minimum attack vector, or MAV as it's known, is the number of actors that add up to 51% of the consensus, and if they were malicious, they could plot to attack the consensus. Cardano's MAV remains at 22, and Bitcoin is only 5 due to the concentration in large mining farms. So Cardano is currently considered very healthy with regards to decentralization. To learn more about that, check out this article to go into a bit more detail. The protocol continues to evolve and it's in different versions. We've had Ouroboros Classic, Ouroboros BFT, and now we have Ouroboros Praus. And then we have coming Ouroboros Genesis and, of course, Ouroboros Hydra. The Ouroboros protocol configuration has calculation parameters from minimum fixed cost that stake pools must register, the incidence of the pledge, the block size, the maximum size for transaction, the deposit per staking key, and everything else. All of them can be modified to generate the desired change. You can see all the parameters and their values in the GitHub link here, and will be in the description below. The most well known, due to their impact on rewards obviously, we have A0, or known as A0, which is a value that determines the amount of rewards that are granted per signed block according to the pledge that guarantees each stake pool. And since it is currently very low, it makes pretty much no difference. There is an ongoing debate about what to do about this, and I don't have the answers, and it's a very nuanced topic. But anyway, 2, then we have K, which can be described as N-opt. Not that I've ever heard anyone call it that, but K indicates the desirable number of pools that can sign blocks at the same time. Currently, K equals 500. Thus, the parameter K establishes the so-called saturation point. That is from how much stake in a pool do the rewards begin to decrease, and the further beyond the saturation point is, the more the rewards decrease. To obtain the amount of saturation is simple maths. The circulating supply is divided by the parameter K. So currently saturation equals ADA supply, which is around 34 billion, divided by K, which is 500, and you end up with a saturation point of around 67 million ADA. How do transaction fees work? Every time someone wants to transfer an amount of ADA, the network fee is calculated. For the transaction to be valid, a minimum fee must be included, although the sender is free to pay higher fees if they wish, not that I know any. All transaction fees are collected in a virtual fund and subsequently distributed among the consensus participants. The minimum fees for a transaction are calculated according to the formula A plus B times size, where A and B are constant and the size is the size of the transaction in bytes. So a minimum fee. A transaction of 200 bytes in size, which is fairly typical, breaks down like this. So A plus B is this, plus this per byte. So we need to multiply that by 200, and here's your minimum transaction fee. Simple transactions with a low amount of UTXO usually have a weight between 0.03 and 0.1 kilobyte. The weight increases with the increase in UTXOs with added metadata, like NFTs, and smart contracts, of course. The protocol has maximum parameters per block. It admits up to 64 kilobyte. So remember, it's actually 1024 bytes in a kilobyte. That means no more transactions that in total weigh more than that can be validated in each block. Each transaction cannot be larger than 16 kilobytes. The header of the block has a maximum of 1.07 kilobytes. This is why the maximum fee of a single transaction would be the 0.15538 ADA, as mentioned earlier, plus the fee per byte times 16,384, because you've got to remember that there's 1,024 bytes in a kilobyte. And so there, your maximum fee is 0.875392264 for ADA. The accounting model EUTXO. The accounting system used in Cardano, as in Bitcoin and other blockchains as well, is the unspent transaction output, or UTXO. The accounting model most used in the crypto industry is that of accounts in the Ethereum blockchain, for example. You can go in more depth about it in this article, Accounting Models in Blockchain. With the UTXO model, instead of removing just the amount of cryptocurrency to be transferred from the address, the total for that address is subtracted to 0, and the money part is transferred to the destination address, and the balance is deposited in a new address on the wallet created by the protocol for the owner who made the expense. Sounds overcomplicated, but this system avoids double spending. The EUTXO model is an evolution of the original. So it includes 1. Implementing a smart contract language more powerful than Bitcoin script. 2, you've got providing smart contract developers with an area within UTXOs to store the state of their smart contract protocols. 3, allowing them to store first-class native assets within the UTXOs, in addition to the base asset, which is, of course, ADA. Staking. Unlike the proof-of-work consensus protocol, the proof-of-stake allows those who do not run a validator node to participate in the network consensus, delegating participation with your ADA in a node to get rewards for it. Check out the What You Should Know About Cardano article to further explore this concept. The official wallets are Daedalus and Joro, but there is also Ada Lite, Eternal, Giro Wallet, Typhon and Nami, all of which have a really good reputation. To find out more about the influx of wallets, check out this article to help you pick the right one for you. The monetary policy. The monetary policy of Cardano is sound. It is established without burning ADA, unlike other blockchains that manipulate their cryptocurrency. The total supply is set at 45 billion ADA. It will never change, thus making ADA coins a precious resource because of its scarcity. Currency is currently over 33.5 billion ADA, which is around 75% of the total supply. Approximately 2.5 billion ADA was allocated to IOHK after the network launched, another 2.1 billion to Emergo, and 648 million to the Cardano Foundation. With the circulation of coins, two issues are addressed from the fee of their transactions. These are the need to offer rewards to the people who participate in the consensus of the network and the financing of the Treasury. You want to know more about that? Check out taking a look at Cardano's monetary policy on the AdaPulse website. Decentralized Governance. The Voltaire era is Cardano's governance. The financing of the Treasury has the objective of providing funds to develop activities in Cardano. Catalyst, which is where the community vote on projects they want funded, has financed 939 projects for more than $25 million in its 8 financing funds. It also temporarily adds funds to stake pools who positively push the foundation's objectives. ATM, that's me, received 15 million ADA to reward the work I'm doing right now. But as I said, that's only temporary, and you can see, once it's gone, I'm broke. So if you enjoy or find this channel helpful, start delegating to ATM so I can keep going. But back to the foundation. The Cardano Treasury system is transparent, completely transparent, and is financed from 20% of the rewards of each epoch, 20% of the monetary expansion of each epoch, and, of course, donations. The Treasury began its financing with the Shelley era in Epoch 208 on July the 29th, 2020, and to date adds over 900 million ADA. You can read more about Voltaire in this article, which will be in the description like all the others. In the future, the network will have its governance DAO. You can learn more about DAOs in this article. This will further decentralize the ecosystem, changing IOHK's dependency on main development and give the choice to the community to decide the path that Cardano will take. So that brings us to the end of the article today. So there was a lot to unpack there. Of course, I'll have links down below to all the articles that were mentioned. Like I said, it's pretty much a LiberLion special. So if there's any part of that, any subject there that tickles your fancy, you've got the links there to dive straight in. So do remember to click that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you can get notified as soon as we have a video available. And do remember, you can further support us by delegating your ADA to either Swag, Zod, or myself, ATM. So I'm Josh from ATM, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.